if ever I post a list of this is what you have to do to be successful, I can guarantee people are going to come after me.
Sure.
And I'm just like, okay, like,
That's fine. That's
feel
fine.
free to ignore it if you would like.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep using it, but because it's all about like the things you have to do, things you have to give up and all that. And people are like, where's the fun, bro? And all that. And I'm like, that's just a different list.
It's right.
Like, if you want a list on fulfillment, bro, I'll do you a list on fulfillment. But the reality is that success has a set of physics and you can fight against it. But it's like, everybody understands if you want to be an NBA champion or a football champion, great. Do you think that guy is goofing off on the offseason? No, you don't.
Right.
You know that the guy that really becomes a Hall of Famer, they're grinding, they're working hard, they're taking 1,000 catches a day, whatever it is that their position requires. Like, we all know that and we celebrate that in athletes. But the second I, as a business guy, am like, you have to do the same things, just in a business context. People lose their minds. And it's like, I'm talking about greatness, kids. If you want to be great, those are the physics.
But that's not the bill of sale culture gives us. The bill of sale is you can do it all and you can have all of it right now. And it's not true. It's just not true. Meaning you can never miss a Little League game and you can have the perfect house and you can make meals every night for your family or eat. Like, there is no cost to greatness. And when you're around truly great people, you realize, it costs everything. It costs everything. And I think that's the tension that people feel, I have to choose, or I've got to make something, the center can't hold on all of this. And I don't think people have a psychology for it. Does that make sense? It comes at a cost.
It does come at a cost. I think that people have mental models that cause them a lot of problems. And the thing I want to be known for is there's something I call the physics of progress.
Okay.
Now, why is it the physics of progress? I really believe, and look, of course I will update if I get closer to the real answer, but I really believe that it's a loop. It's effectively the scientific method repurposed for general life.
Okay.
And there is nothing below that. There's as far as I can tell, it's just ground truth.
Okay.
So you can think of it as thinking from first principles.
Love it.
So I know where I'm trying to get to, and what experiments do I have to run in order to actually make progress towards that thing. Now, once you understand that there are physics to progress, that you can progress towards anything, right? This is the only belief that matters again.
Right.
I can put time and energy into being a better parent, and I can actually become a better parent. Word. I can put time and energy into building businesses, and I can actually get good at that. Word. Like, whatever it is that you want to do, you can get better at it. Now, you may not ever be able to become the best. Right. Like 50% of us roughly is hardwired. Right. And so you may have limitations that you're just not going to overcome. Stephen Hawking, for as brilliant as he was never going to dominate the NFL.
Correct. That's right.
So it just is what it is. But there are many avenues that remained open to him, even though he had, I think it was ALS. So it's like, you just have to find that path and then just really, really, really invest. But if that isn't your worldview, if you don't think that you can get better and you think this is just about, I've been dealt a hand and now I've got to bluff a lot to get through this game, and someone's calling me out, then it's like, oh God, like I have to push back on that person. I have to go in on them.
All I can do is blame the dealer. That's my whole life is blaming the dealer.
Bluff, tap out, whatever. Versus, I'd like some new cards.
Is that time and energy finite?
Of course. All of us
and that
are going to...
That to me is the secret sauce, is you got to choose.
Yes.
In this particular
a great
season.
Quote. You can be anything you want, but not everything.
That's right.
And so you're going to have to pick. Now, that haunts me more than just about anything haunts any human being.
For the sunk cost? Like, what are you going to lose?
No,
right?
it is that...
Or the lost cost opportunity?
Some people don't have a passion.
Yeah.
The great news is I can teach you how to build one.
Okay.
Other people have a lot of passions. I'm that guy.
Okay.
So there are more things that I'm passionate about, let alone extremely interested in, that I will ever have time to pursue. And by quirk of genetics, I really have a hard time not pursuing something I'm passionate about. Like a really hard time.
Like it haunts you.
Yeah. To the point of dysfunction.
Okay.
Hey, I'm well aware of it. So like when I'm teaching business, I will tell people, there's virtually nothing that I will tell you to do that I'm not actively doing myself.
Okay.
There is one thing though, and that is don't divide your energy.
Okay.
Pick one thing and be a sociopath. Just go deep into one thing and do it forever. And I'm in the Dave Ramsey complex because he just picked a thing and he went insanely deep. Now, there is a cruel twist of fate. I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I could not spend the next 40 years talking about one thing that I care about.
Right.
It's got to be a multitude. There are just too many things that light me up.
Yeah.
So anyway, terrible for business.
Yeah.
Great for
you.
Love it.
Right.
My life is amazing.
But you did that one thing, and that gave you a foundation from which you could rappel off of.
Yes, but here's the thing. Because in that period, I was just broke. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have the great facilitator of money. So the great irony is it's actually harder to be disciplined and build only one thing and have the kind of outsized success now because I have success. In fact, when you were talking about, I was raised by a guy that was a cop in Texas and they were raised by school teachers. It's like, bro, that's probably better.
That's the soil.
If you want to give birth to a kid that's successful, because you're successful, have to worry about your kids in a way that your parents didn't because there was just a little bit of hardship in your life.
It was a lot.
And it's good.
And here we go. That's right.
Yeah, which is one of, if not, it may be the main reason I chose not to have kids, is that I didn't know if I could watch them struggle. And I had so much money that I was like, it'd be way too easy to I would find myself fantasizing about, okay, could I pay 3 or 4 people that my kids don't know are on payroll and their only job is to make problems go away without the kid realizing that they're making problems go away. And I was like, oh God, like my kid is going to be the kid that's like strung out on heroin by 12 because I'm just making all these problems go away because I have such a hard time emotionally watching people struggle.
Yeah.
Know thyself. I just wasn't sure. And so I was like, oh God, we're all going to damage our kids in some way. But I just had real nightmares about damaging them in ways that are not good.
I love an engineering approach to life. I love it because it creates some mental models and it really takes a lot of we're all just on a leaf floating down the river. This passive life just happens, right? There's a buddy of mine. He went at me, looked at me. He's like, I reject the statement. It is what it is. That's not true. There is a lot that we can control. There has to be a moment when, or maybe it's a series, or maybe it's the context. Like Lisa knows you. And she also knows where the knives are that could get through the armor. And she chooses to not. That to me is the magic. And that to me has become culturally inappropriate. Don't get in a place where somebody could ever get you. And what I have found over time, when my wife and I sat across the table, we're like, are we going to keep being married? Because we're not doing this anymore. Are we done? Are we calling it? Or did we make a covenant? We're going to have to build something totally new. That's when that chest got opened up. And it was like, here it all is. And we've been together 15 years when we did that, right? Here it all is. Here's all the guns. Are you going to shoot me? Here's all the knives. Are you going to cut me? Or are we going to use those tools and build something amazing? How do you navigate that?
Yeah. So I would say there is no point where you want to set down the engineering.
Okay.
But what you do want to do is understand your tools.
Okay.
So an engineer is somebody that goes within the realm of physics.
Yeah.
So we know what gravity is. Right.
Yeah.
We know tensile strength of a material. We know material science and what materials are coming on board and all that. We know all the manufacturing and the systems that are required to get product from where it was made to the build, all that. They're living within that reality. And so if you have an engineering mindset, you're not saying I'm going to exit humanity. Humanity is the point. The very thing that I want on my tombstone is you're having a biological experience. All right, why do I want people to understand that? Whether your biology was given to you by God or evolution, I don't care.
Right.
You have it.
Right.
And now that you have your biology, how do you take it into account? And so love is a describable, shockingly repeatable neurochemical setup. And so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So this is a game ultimately of brain manipulation.
Okay.
When I'm with my wife, I want to feel a certain way and I want her to feel a certain way. And so when I'm opening the kimono and I'm revealing all the insecurities and all that, it's like, I'm doing this because I believe it will put us in a situation where we can be good for each other, where we can get from the love, the unity that we have, what we want to get out of it, what will make it worth the compromises.
So it's always an ROI.
Yeah, I mean, when you use words like that, you're going to turn people off.
Sure, but it's
it is
intentionality.
true.
It's intentionality. It's a better way to say it.
100%. Yeah. This isn't an ephemeral plane where things are happening by magic.
Right.
This is a human is designed to get safety. And yet there's tension between too much safety and eroticism.
And desire, right?
Right. So now you're in this weird place of like, okay, we have to figure out this really weird dance. But that's it. What it is.
That's it.
And so what Lisa and I do is it's just full disclosure. So we are constantly talking in insecurities. That's one of our big rules.
I'm going to write
Talk
that
to
down.
me in
I like
insecurities.
That.
So if you're getting emotionally triggered, the odds that you have touched on an insecurity border on 100%. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. What am I insecure about that's making this moment weird? So I'll give you my favorite example from our marriage.
Okay.
I had a belief that women were only attracted to men that were better than them at everything. Now, I didn't realize I had that belief. It was just running in the back of my mind.
Sure.
And so my then girlfriend and I, who is now my wife, but we were playing a game of pool. And I had an opportunity to win by getting the 8 ball. And thinking, my wife will find me attractive if I beat her at pool. And she will find me unattractive if I lose at pool.
Okay.
And so she comes up and she whispers something really hot in my ear, right? To try to get me to miss. And miss I did. And instead of being like, oh, we're doing that tonight, I got mad.
Okay.
Because I was like, she's not going to be able to find me attractive if I lose this. Now, that's all subconscious. I'm just mad. Now, at the time, I don't know why I'm mad. I'm just mad. So I'm like, why'd you make me miss that shot? That's cheating. That's BS. We end up like just completely derailing. The night is not fun at all.
Okay.
And at some point, I'm like, my neurochemistry is changing. That now all feels like a waste of time. What actually just happened? And how do I avoid that happening in the future? And I had seen a movie called Daryl. And I suddenly had this flash of, the whole thing is Daryl's an android.
Okay.
He's being raised by human parents. And the mother is having a really hard time. And Daryl can't understand why. And the dad has to come in and go, Daryl, you're perfect in every way, but your mom actually needs to be needed. And so if you weren't perfect, oddly enough, your relationship would be better. I have the chills now.
Yeah.
So remembering like, wait, why would anyone want to be in a relationship with somebody that's better than them at everything?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they're always going to be in second place. That's super lame.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what if we figured out the things I'm better at, the things she's better at, and we start celebrating that? And so I was like, word, but I need to go confess that the reason I got mad was because I believe that you won't find me attractive if I'm not better than you at those things. And she was like, what?
Yeah.
She was like, that's not true. I find you attractive for all these reasons. I have nothing to do with this. Like, and I was like, okay, that doesn't feel real yet because I have had this belief for so long, but I'm going to start acting as if that belief were real. And if that moves me in a better direction, then I will adopt it and it'll become a real belief. And of course it becomes a real belief. And I realize now you want to find the things, one of you is going to be better at some things, one of you is going to be better at the others, map those out, figure out what they are. And then you can be good. But it started with the ability to say, I was insecure that you wouldn't be able to find me attractive if I lost. That's why I got mad. And then it was like she could hold that space for me and extend the love or the assurance, whatever I needed in that moment. And we have a rule in our marriage. You never weaponize the other person's insecurities against them.
Awesome.
So there will be times where I know I can win this argument just by reminding her of this insecurity and it will shut things down just like that.
Right.
But when people say there are things you say that you can never take back, what they mean is you just weaponize their insecurity against them.
Right.
And now they're not going to want to be, they won't want to admit their insecurities to you in the future.
That's right. The cabinet stays closed.
Yep.
You, before we leave, you said something that has become a hot button for me and where I think our and there's multiple ways, but in our current, what I would call the mental health industrial complex, there's this idea that you think your way to emotional health or mental health, for lack of better terms. And you said something really important. I recognize this, and I knew that I was feeling this way, but I began to act this way. Because the idea is mental health is not all the right thoughts in the right order. You have to go act. You have to go do. And there's a reciprocal, it works together, right? My actions become. And it's important to say, I love that I feel this way. Okay, it's not working. I'm going to go. The light on my dashboard is telling me my transmission's broken. It's not. The car's running great. I'm going to go this way. And ultimately, that's where you find that connect. I love that. That's amazing. That takes an extraordinary amount of self-awareness.
Yes, which is a double-edged sword, but yes.
It is. Last thing. You mentioned a couple of times already, just with the few things you've mentioned, your mom sounds like the coolest person ever.
Oh, it's pretty dope.
What is some advice you would give to moms who are raising boys, who are trying to figure the world out?
Okay, so one, boys are not little girls. So they're going to come at the world very differently. And if you're a mom, they're going to seem like little maniacs to you. And you're not going to understand. You're going to think that something is wrong with them. And the default assumption in the beginning, because there really might be something wrong with them, but the default assumption should just be that they have a different set of gears than I have or that my daughters have. And so understanding that, you're going to be in a much better position. They are probably going to be far more aggressive. They're going to like to break things. They are going to meet the world at a physical level. They are going to resolve things physically. And to understand that women come to the world with we need cohesion, we need tribes. They get hierarchy through reputation damage. Boys don't. Boys get that through physicality, who's faster, stronger, and better at leading. And so that different dynamic, I think, can really sketch women out hard. So they need to be thoughtful about that. And then whether you're raising a boy or you're raising a girl, you need to get them into certain loops very, very quickly. And one of the loops is just how the world works. You set a goal. Now you're going to have to get good at that thing in order to get there. And to run that loop, you have got to get them to, this is Carol Dweck all day, you've got to get them to focus on a growth mindset, which is very simply the understanding that your talent and intelligence are not fixed traits. They can be improved. And so now it becomes a question of how do you get them to improve on the things that matter to them. And so, hey, you're not good at that thing. Don't worry about it. You can spend time and energy getting good at that thing. And one, I want to say you have to be super careful of bullying. I've heard you talk about this as well. Bullying scares the life out of me. And because it will set neurological patterns up that will last for a lifetime. But at the same time, like you've got to build resilience in that person. They have to be able to take knocks and keep going. Now, the thing that I wish somebody had told me when I was younger is very simply, it's supposed to hurt. So, like I said, my journey has been one of getting stronger because as a kid, if something hurt, I would whine and cry about it and people would just be like, oh my God, you're going to be okay. And I really wish they had said, oh man, you're going to get hate comments for this, but this is really true to what I believe within reason, because there are things where that person needs to be taken to a hospital or whatever. But I wish my parents had done a better job of recognizing when you get hit on the leg in the morning with a soccer ball, because it's very cold, that's going to hurt a lot. You're not damaged. You're just fine. And you need to get tougher. And you need to value being tough. And that as a man, I'm going to sound so old right now. Again, these are things I believe. As a man, you need to have the full range of emotion. Don't hide your emotions and all that. But at the same time, we got to be context specific. So for instance, if you are on the soccer field and that ball hits your leg and it's cold and it hurts, I don't care.
Keep going.
You're going to suck it up. You're going to keep playing. Now, I got my thumb broken on the soccer field and they kept telling me, you're fine, because everything I cried about, whined about, and I would always get my way. And so there was no difference in how I would behave with a ball bouncing off my cold leg versus no, for real, this time I actually broke my thumb.
Yeah.
And so getting the kid to understand the difference, that there are going to be things in life that hurt. And by pushing through those, you actually get to where you want to go.
That's right.
Now, that has to be in the context of love.
I get that. Yeah.
And so when you're a single mom, this is hard because that's really what the guy should be for.
Right.
The kid should be able to retreat back to mom when dad being tough and telling me to push forward and push through it is getting overwhelming. You want someone that you can retreat to. But if you're by yourself, you either have to get somebody in this kid's life, big brothering, coach, get him in jujitsu.
Yeah, right.
Something where they learn to control themselves, they learn to engage with the world in a physical manner, where they learn what pain is bad and what pain is good and should be pushed through. All of those things are incredibly important. And then you're going to have to read the situation. Is your kid more prone to empathy or more prone to domination?
Sure.
If your kid is more prone to domination, you don't want to say that's bad, but you want to be like, hey, if you want to be a good leader, you can't just dominate people. They will look for ways to take you down in groups.
Right.
So you want to understand, if you really can dominate, now's the time where you pick people up and pull them towards you. Why? Because you'll get what you want out of life.
Right.
This is leadership. So awesome. Be the best. Be better than everybody. But Michael Jordan didn't start winning championships until he understood I also have to be a good leader. He won scoring titles, but he didn't win championships. And you, as a son of mine, are going to win championships. And to do that, you have to be a team player. And to do that, be better than everybody else. But you want to lift them up and help them get as good as humanly possible.
I 100% track with you, and we don't talk about it. And you're right. We'll get me in comments that there's an importance to teaching our kids to be tougher. Where I have found, I had a buddy of mine who's a mental health professional. He's astonishing, but it's 20 years ago. He said, we're gonna have hell to pay. And I said, why? And he said, because we're removing every bully from every situation. We're not teaching kids how to handle it and how to deal with it, and that we believe that they are strong enough with us walking alongside them to weather some of these things. What we're telling them implicitly is you'll never be strong enough. The world's got to clear. And he said there will be a bully at some point that comes through that wipes out the competition. And then there's a whole generation of kid that doesn't even believe I'm strong enough or that I have the toughness. What I found in my house is when kids start seeking adult attention through whining and hurting, it's always because I'm not closing the loop somewhere else. If that's the only way they get me is when they go, "Ow, I'm hurt," or "Ow," that's a signal to me that I'm not communicating that I see you and I care about you and I love you and that you're safe in this house. Now get back on the field, right? Go. Yes, you got bonked with a ball. Go, right? And I love that. Like, we're teaching kids it's all the same pain, and it's not. It's not. And there is a difference between a broken thumb and you got kicked in the shit and that hurt. That one hurt bad. Oh man. I think you can get back out there. I love that, man. Well, dude, thanks for your time. It was an honor, man.
Thank you, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was an honor. You're a gift. Appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure.